Hello guys, welcome to Innovation YGOh, and my name is Juan, and I am from YGOBROS. I am the one and only running the channel. I am very excited to be here. I am very grateful, and I am going to do my best to bring my best out of all. And in this top 10 video, my first one ever, being that the top 10 things that I love about Yugioh, about this game, about everything that drives us to be here watching a Yu-Gi-Oh related content, and I'll do my best not to disappoint you guys. I am still getting better as a YouTuber and as a player, and I look forward to entertain you all as I get better at doing that. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, for my top 10 things that I love about Yu-Gi-Oh, before I get started, as a player and as a collector and as a YouTuber, I just want to say that I am very excited to share with you guys these personal opinions that they are, at the end of the day, my personal opinions on the things that make the game worthwhile, for me as a hobby, to want to be here, to be engaged, and to, something that you love, that you're passionate about, should not be dismissed. And hopefully, I'll be able to communicate everything as smoothly and entertainingly as possible, considering I have a heavy accent. I am from Colombia originally, Colombia, South America, but I do live in the U.S. since 2006, so I had the opportunity to, be part of this culture as well. Also, my introduction to the game has been a little bit different since I basically started with the anime show, as many people probably have, and then I started playing the PlayStation 1 game for Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, which I have a lot of fun memories of that game that I played for many, many years. And I didn't start actually playing the card game around Clifford and Necros format, but I've been playing ever since non-stop. As like, growing from a casual to whatever the hell it is now, being a competitive. But anyway, for number one, having that background out of the way, I just thought it was important. Being a player, being a player is one of the things that I do engage the most in this game. And actually, a lot of the time that I don't spend Yugi-tubing, I actually, of my free time that is, I do spend playtesting. I've been playing my Cyber Dragon 60 card deck with ABCs, Galaxies, Kaijus, and you name it, for as long as I can, considering the format is about to change. And I've been doing that online and in real life, and that kind of goes depending on what is available to me. But being a player for several different reasons is something satisfying to me, because I've been a player like in different platforms. Like I remember playing a little bit from the Game Boy games, and like I mentioned, the PlayStation 1 game Forbidden Memories has a lot of meaning and nostalgia for me personally, which I still own actually. So I think those three things are really important for players to be engaged with in today's day. The meta and the casual are something that we're gonna see in most games that are big enough to have such an audience, and you can be an individual player like most duelists are, or you can actually be part of a team, which is there's not that many teams, but it is a thing. So for number two, the art, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't actually mention, but the art actually has a lot to do with the appeal for the game. We definitely wouldn't be playing a game if we just overall consider the art to be trash. So like we have to appreciate. Of course, there are art types and types of cards that we don't like. A lot of people don't like the performer pals and stuff like that. But the art that really brought you into the game and keeps you in the game overall, or brought and specifically brought you into the game, which happens to be the foundation of a lot of our nostalgia. The manga has been like that for a lot of people, the anime, the actual card game, and thanks to that we also see fan art, which is really nice. and also other art through products, like collectible figures, play mats, and whatnot. But continuing to number three, being a collector. Being a collector, it's part of the trading card game. It goes hand in hand with cards or anything that is collectible, really, in terms of being, of a first edition or unlimited, special editions, all this stuff like that. Just kind of carried over after Magic the Gathering and all the baseball cards. But that by itself was already a collectible thing. So Yu-Gi-Oh being collectible was kind of inevitable. Like I think it was more to be collectible uh, in terms of of the overall design. I think the personal and the financial value go hand in hand as well, because you can get value as a collector from your personal collection, or actually make it as a profit, kind of treating it like a market. But I'll get into more of that later. You get to self-organize. I mean, you get to create something unique because there's no rules. There's no rules on how to be a collector. There's no, I mean, there's tips and suggestions on like what to, but there's like virtually there's no like collector championship or anything. It just kind of you define what kind of collector you are, and then you know for the most part it's something personal, it's something for yourself. I mean, of course, that you show to your friends and to whatever venue or media you choose to share with. That's totally fine. You're something that to be proud of. But collectors at the end of the day is not. It doesn't generate a lot of money, in my opinion, like logistically. So it's something more as a hobby for sure. Whereas a player can give you a little more options, but nonetheless, being a player is not where the money is, guys, and we all know that. Number four is the strategy, the mind games that we engage with in this game. We have this diversity on which we go through, in terms of like we're siding against this is stopping, now we side against that, and then this gets banned, this gets limited, and basically the balance and the players attempting to break the game is part of like what drives the strategy to whether that be in a small scale, whether like be a strategy that you're devising in one duel and one move, something really simple, or that could be overall your strategy to be the best player and win worlds, going through championship and regional to regional. I just think the strategy is important in this game, in many levels. It creates a challenge, it develops your skill, it kind of like brings you to have the correct deck building abilities in order to succeed, because it's trial and error. At the end of the day, you have to come and analyze your game and be progress from that, basically, make changes based on that and understand where to go from that. And I think this strategy is something that it will always be part of the game as long as we play it. Number five, we have being original. Innovation, of course. Innovate to create something different, unique, to be creative. The creativity it's not to be dismissed in this game because it is rewarded. Unfortunately, it gets snatched right away, especially if it works and is broken. But it is important to keep the game going. That's why we get new archetypes, we get new cards, in order for the game not to die. We need to innovate, and as players and as YouTubers, it is our job as content creators to innovate. And not necessarily our job, like, we're not getting paid like a job should, basically, to sustain ourselves, especially when you're a small channel. Obviously, this does not apply to big YouTubers, but being original, you're forced to be original to keep yourself fresh, keep yourself new, and be interesting, keep it alive, basically. There's many ways to describe this. You have to be yourself, and in the end, you have to create your own path. You shouldn't define your game style by net decking from winning deck to winning deck profile, just like try to mindlessly just play in the eyes of, like the top players, instead of like creating your own path, going and making the deck that you love, the deck that you think is the best, and but make it the best because you can. Just look at players like Jeff Jones that have surprisingly made tops with innovative cards. Like, that's proof that it can be done. So there's not to be dismissed, and there's no greater reward than to, go get it yourself. And it is true that some people are, more have more advantages than other people based on location, based on experience, and etc. etc. But at the end of the day, we all have some kind of opportunity to, in the end, attempt to reach a goal in this game by being original, whether that be competitive, whether that be as an art thing that you do, or there's a place for everybody. For number 6, we have the community. It is important to, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't be talking to an audience if the community was not important. It is important to grow, especially in an age where we are blessed with the internet and the media, in order to reach so many people and individuals, to get a voice out there, and at the same time to enrich ourselves with the information that we have. And this applies in the game in so many ways and forms that I think we take full advantage of. The friends that brought us into the game and that continue to keep us in the game. The social media that we have, that being YouTube, Twitch, Discord, so many other things overall that without this kind of internet, of course, that allows us to communicate and to practice in YGOBRO, in YGO Pro, in Dueling Book and whatnot. And what kind of game would this be if there wasn't any other players? Imagine it would go extinct, kind of extinct, like if you're one of the few humans alive and then there's not enough players, like this game would have existed if there weren't other players to play it. You can argue that if you had a computer to duel against, I don't see that being a game that we can call a community game. But anyway, national, worldwide, local, all these things are small and big scales that we should be aware of. Like, to be part of the community, that can be, your own locals. You can just be a good player, you can cater to smaller players that need help, and you can ask more experienced players for help. It goes hand in hand, and that kind of just brings you up to, be part of the community and define you. I mean, the community does not define you, but you can define a place for yourself in the community, if that makes sense. National, where of course that means like regionally, what you do regionals, not only to top, but to trade, to make friends, to make connections, and worldwide, of course, how you approach that. And all that goes as well as, in a competitive standpoint. And you have to take the good and bad of the community. You have to take it for what it is with a grain of salt. Yes, there's a lot of shitty stuff in the community, just like in any community, and the drama will live on. It gets views, of course, but it's good to understand limits and what is good, when the joke is good, and when it's bad. So I think that's important to note. The community is essential. Now for number 7, we have the nostalgia. The nostalgia, guys. Like, come on, for how long has this game been out? We wouldn't be called, like, players or nerds if like people wouldn't even. Most people that are like over 15 years old and over, at least, know what Yugioh is. So like they might know it as simply like, oh, like an inertia or whatever, but like it is known enough that we know it's been out for long enough where people have memories, probably have a kid that they've introduced to the game. And I personally have a lot of friends that have personally started the game thanks to all these childhood things. I've rarely met anybody who just started the game as of late, just picked it out of the blue just because a friend suggested it. No, most people that I meet are people that have been in the game from the very beginning, or at least have been there for long enough to, have nostalgic memories of some sort, whether that be from the show or anything else. So the shows, the movies, the manga that I just mentioned, of course, the evolution is important. For example, I have this picture here with Digimon and Pokemon, of course. I watched Digimon when I was a kid as well, but for me that probably was Dragon Ball. My dad got me into Dragon Ball, and I say Dragon Ball as a whole. Dragon Ball Z, basically the franchise. And from that, that's the first thing that got me into anime and into shows in general. And then from that, went into Pokemon, and as a kid, of course, I jumped into the game as well, and that kind of developed myself as a gamer. And let me tell you guys, playing my first game ever, Pokemon Emerald, without knowing any English, man, that was a challenge. Oh, playing Forbidden Memories without knowing any English. I'm playing it in English was a challenge. You're basically nitpicking your attacks, nitpicking your cards out of the luck. You're basically running with the luck of the cards. But anyway, just going back to my point. From Pokemon, I played it. I had a Pokemon phase for sure. I played quite a few games for it. I actually had a Facebook page doing Pokemon fan art and banners for a while. It did good, but I definitely grew out of me, man. It got too repetitive. I'm not dismissing Pokemon lovers at all. I still respect it, but I just stopped playing it as much as I did. Like constantly, like in the Game Boy game, or I didn't get new consoles. I basically stopped after Emerald. But and then around that time is when I picked up the actual card game in Yu-Gi-Oh. I knew most of the rules in general, basically from watching in the internet and the show, which is not super relatable, but you have a basic idea. And Forbidden Memories, of course, which is uh, also basic and not at all like the game it is, like we all know. But nonetheless, it was a transition, and it's part of the nostalgia. We're probably kids from the 90s or around that age, and there's a lot of stuff that we can connect to. We're rebels of the new millennium. Magic and technology for number 8. Hopefully this video have not been too long. We have fantasy, we have the past and the future with the ancient Egypt and the futuristic technology that made it available as dual monsters with that advanced technology that allowed to combine magic uh, with that technology, which is something that I actually find quite amazing. And in a remarkable way, it had me engaged from the beginning, because I don't know, I just found it's like combining something amazing for the first time. I don't know, like donuts and bacon. Like you at first you wouldn't think it's a great idea, but once you actually try it, it's just like, what the hell? How did I not think of this? But I digress. The Game King is basically what inspired the game to also be part of what it is, from magic, being all spells and traps and monsters, being the master of the game that it is, and which is I think that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is in Japanese, Game King, which in the show developed to the same King of Games. And to that, I just want to say that in the end, life is the ultimate game in the show, and of course for us too. You only live once, but life is the ultimate game in the game. Uh, as well, having your mind sent to the shadow realm is another way to say you're freaking dying, or you're gonna die. But I digress. I just found that to be one of the engaging things of the show, and that basically kept us players in the game for quite a while, if not still. For number 9, we have the market. We have the market watches that you guys probably seen from House of Champs, and maybe not, but there's a big market you guys do not know of, rising and falling cards, and people basically making profit of it, mainly through eBay, also TCG Player. Also other dismissed markets like Amazon and whatnot, but there's markets for it, for making money, for saving money, and it develops value awareness. That's something else that I wanted to mention. Trade skill is something that you develop as well. And YouTubing, I think it might fall into this category as well because there is a market for YouTubers if you are good enough for it. I guess you gotta work your way up, which is one of the things why I'm here. You know, trying to collaborate, trying to be here as guest, and exposure is key, but keeping at it and being yourself and being constant enough is important. So the market is not to be dismissed, and whatever other market you find for it. And for number 10, finally, entertainment, guys. Why would we be here if it wasn't for knowledge of being entertained to some extent, to know what drives us to be in this game, to love it, to at the end be satisfied to ourselves too. We're not forced to play this game, we're not forced to watch these videos, but there is something that we love about this game. And yes, there's probably stuff that we do hate about it as well, and what we wish it didn't exist. And I'm not talking about ban cards in particular, but mechanics or price support, stuff that will truly make the game so much better as a whole. Probably more for the community and all, but there is ways to make the game better also for the company and the players. But at the end of the day, it is about having fun, making friends, trading. The show, it is ongoing. We have Brains coming out here pretty soon. The card game, as we know, is not dead. It's not dying, as we know, and it is a hobby. It might be a work. It might be a job for some people, but in the majority, it is a hobby. We have it in social media. This is how we are delivering this video, and it is a game at the end of the day. So it is to take it lightly, to be entertained, or to take it too seriously. And hopefully this video has been entertaining to this point. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for watching. It is very important for me that you guys have dedicated time from your life and your attention to listen to my reasons of why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope you were able to relate to somehow to any of these reasons, or if you haven't, feel free to comment that as well. And be sure to check out my channel for more content. I am a Cyber Dragon player for the most part, and I do a lot of that, and Monarch and Blue Eyes, many other stuff, and hopefully other discussions that you guys will enjoy with top 10s as well. This is Juan from YGOBROS as a guest in Innovation YGO. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.